Now if you want to escape the non-renewable energy crowd, you're going to have to do a little work here, to do a little research. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the sun today. We're going to talk a little bit about absorption and emission of sunlight. We're going to talk about infrared radiation. We're going to talk about the plants. No, if I have to go out there and film every branch, every leaf, every cloud that flies over, I will. Let's hope it don't come to that. So we're going to try to get things back to normal the way they were. That's the game here. We're going to have to try to fix the planet. To do that, we're going to have to use a little science. So I'm going to do the best I can. So a lot of these people are asking, who did this to their planet? Who did this? Who's behind the scenes? Well, a lot of the blame, they're going to have to take a long, close look in the mirror. Because if they're just going to sit there and buy the propaganda and the lies and the deception, and they're not going to look up at the sky, they're not going to take any time to do any research, then they're just as much to blame. So we'll continue on. We'll continue on with these videos. I'm going to do the best I can. Got a lot of different books out. We're going to talk about the flowers and the seasons. We're going to talk about fingerprint physics. All elements, when turned into a gas and heated, give out their own distinct color. And you can see this stuff. It's real easy. Talk a little bit more about radioactive elements and radiation. We'll talk about the wildlife, temperatures, space, the speed of light, spheres, all kinds of things, different elements. We're going to talk about the aluminum. It's very important. Lightning, electromagnetic conductivity. See, all this stuff is very relevant. It's very important. This stuff, the sunlight, comes down as electromagnetic radiation. Think about that. It comes down as photon energy. This stuff's coming down on you. So it's important that you understand these elements. And this is what we're covering today. So you can go back and read that. So see this. Electromagnetic radiation passes through certain elements, different wavelengths and different bands. Some get absorbed and new ones are emitted. We're going to talk about infrared radiation today. So we'll continue on. Let's talk about polarization. Go back and read this. Remember when I shine the light through the crystal? See, some crystals can cause the photon to rotate its polarity. We'll continue on. All these different forms of electromagnetic radiation, the sun is no different. And anytime you put something in front of the sunlight, you change the output. In layman's terms, you basically change the entire thing. Anytime you block the sunlight, and a lot of people have asked me, why would they use aluminum? What's so special about aluminum? Well, here, go read about it. See, this is how you do it. You got to go look at the element that you're dealing with, find it on the table of elements, then you go study it. Well, aluminum comes from its chief ore, bauxite. And they make this stuff really in huge vats of boiling sodium hydroxide. So it's not something that's sitting around, So I'll tell you a little bit about aluminum. So it's one of the few metals that maintains its full silvery reflectance. Think about that. It's fully silvery. It reflects the sunlight very easily. And it's very corrosion resistant too. Here's a huge piece of aluminum. Now if I had this back in the 1800s when it first came out, it's priceless. It was worth its weight more than gold. See how good it reflects the light? So we'll keep moving forward. There's another thing about aluminum. It's highly reactive metal. Not only that, it makes hydrogen when you throw it in hydrochloric acid. Remember, this stuff is extremely conductive. So when you put it up in the atmosphere, it's highly conductive. You can easily bounce microwaves off of this stuff. Like I said, I just cover the elements and you make your own decisions on what's going on out there. Not only is it highly reflective, it can be turned into a very fine powder. This has a lot to do with resistance. See, the air normally, it would be very difficult to pass some of the radio waves through there. See, this goes back over to reflectance again with the sun too. Very reflective material. You can go back and read that. We're just going to keep going back and forth covering this stuff. You gotta remember, when this stuff was first created, it was more valuable than gold. Talk about infrared radiation. All you gotta do is hold this bowl right in front of your face like this, and you can feel it bounce back into your face. So infrared radiation is sensed by humans as heat. So I wanted the best for my sheep. Well, I wanted him to have his cake and eat it too. I didn't want him on these hydrocarbons, these non-renewable energies. I wanted him to switch over to the water. So he could quit polluting his planet. See, it's all about the money too, you gotta remember that. These non-renewables, they want to destroy the planet. They just want to make a few bucks and they don't care. And that's really the battle in essence. So we're going to have to bring everything we got to the table for this. It's a battle for the planet. It's nothing less. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the aluminum today. It's a very important element. It seems to be causing a lot of trouble out there. These elements, think about it. You're tied to them forever. No matter what happens to you when you die, it's happening to you right now, believe it or not. The atoms are doing what they do. And when you pass away, you'll be forever in the fabric of the universe in time. With me and everyone else. Everything else you ever loved or hated. So don't forget these elements. This table of elements, think about it. It's more or less an atomic field guide to your life, to your soul. You're not just made of the elements. You are the elements. You are the universe. So number 13. Now this aluminum, when it's in finely powdered form, when you get it out here and you go ahead and grind it down, it's very flammable. See, these metals and all this stuff act very different when they're powdered form. Whether it's in solid shape like this or not has a lot to do with it. It's one of the few metals that retain a full silvery reflectance in finely powdered form. That's why your sky looks like it does. You know, this is one of them elements. It's very special, but it's turned from sugar to sand. It was wonderful when we first discovered it, but now it's become very destructive. Well, like most metals, look at this. See, silver, when it's finely powdered, and very easily kills pathogens, free surfaces of disease. So it kills bacteria. You know, the aluminum comes down, it gets in the soil, and it's killing the beneficial bacteria. It's destroying all the trees and the microbes in the ground. So they didn't think about that. We'll move on. Like I said, I'm trying to squeeze as much as I can in these videos. You know what the good news about all this is? This is like high school chemistry to fix all our problems. You just have to understand it. And all these elements that you see here, I filled this up with pure hydrogen so you could see it. It's completely invisible. Like a lot of this stuff. Completely invisible to human senses. I wanted to remind you guys about all that. Most of the stuff in the universe is completely out of our reach. It's out of our senses. We can't detect it. It would be the same for the oxygen if I filled this up. It's completely colorless. It's clear. This goes back to you again. Think about this. The sun's coming down. It's like a giant nuclear reactor. And if you don't shield yourself from that electromagnetic radiation, if you have an unshielded reaction with the sun, you can get sunburnt. All the way through space, all the way across space, all the way to you. So we'll make more videos talking about the sun and these elements and some of the stuff going on out there. I'll do the best I can. So this goes back to reflection. Think about this. I want you to read that. See, as EMR is independent on wavelength as demonstrated when visible light and radio waves bounce off objects that X-rays would not pass through. See, microwaves, which have a large wavelength compared to visible light, will bounce off metal, mesh, and microwave oven, where visible light will pass through. So I won't lie, it's a lot to understand, you know. If we're truly honest with ourselves, we don't understand it. A lot of these physicists won't admit to that. You know, light's both a wave and a particle. It's like telling somebody something can be in two places at once. You know, it's clearly both a combination of electricity and magnetism. Think about that. And the Greeks started the confusion. They thought something shot out of our eyes and lit up what we were looking at. So it's very difficult for them to explain why we couldn't see in the dark. But then later they figured out how it all worked. You know, I'm trying to share this with you guys. So I'll be back. And we'll cover more about the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, the sun, and you.